In the northeastern United States, there is an ancient city that once witnessed the birth of a nation. Philadelphia, the city of the Founding Fathers, where the Declaration of Independence was signed. A city known for the Liberty Bell, historic cobblestone streets, and the timeless spirit of freedom. But behind the bustling Reading Terminal Market, the grandeur of Independence Hall, and the modern spirit of skyscrapers, there is another side that is rarely highlighted. In narrow alleys, under bridges, in the corners of city parks, there are those who walk without direction, sleep without roofs, and live without certainty. Those who have lost their place, lost their voice, sometimes even their name. In this city, more than 4,000 people live without a home. And that number is just the surface of a much deeper story. The homeless in Philadelphia are more than just statistics. They are part of this city, its history, its struggles, and its future. In the next 30 minutes, we will try to listen to them. Not to judge, not to pity, but to understand. Because behind every forgotten face, there's a story worth hearing. Philadelphia's homelessness crisis is nothing new. But in the past few years, it's gone from urgent to urgent. Every night, an estimated 4,000 people are homeless in this city. Of those, about 1,200 are actually living on the streets, not in shelters, not in emergency facilities, but on sidewalks, in parks, under bridges. And that's just the numbers. Many more live in what's called hidden homelessness, sleeping on friends' couches, in cars, or in places that aren't even home. Who are they? Former factory workers who've lost their jobs. Veterans who've returned with unseen trauma. LGBTQ+ teens who've been kicked out of their homes. Single mothers who can't afford the rent. Even children. None of them dreamed of a life like this. But the economic crisis, the lack of affordable housing, the mental health crisis, and the opioid epidemic, all of which are converging to create a perfect storm. In Philadelphia, rents are rising faster than incomes. Affordable housing is becoming scarce. And social assistance is often too late or inadequate. More than a housing issue, homelessness is a reflection of deep-rooted systemic inequality. It's not about people who don't work. It's not about life choices. It's about opportunity, uneven. When housing becomes a luxury, homelessness can happen to anyone, even those who, yesterday, looked like us. Imagine waking up every morning with no roof over your head, no alarm clock, no hot coffee, no bathroom, just the sky and the cold that seeps into your bones. On the streets of Philadelphia, routine isn't about work or school. It's about survival. Mornings start with finding a safe place to relieve yourself. Maybe it's the public library. Maybe it's a fast food restaurant, if the staff is friendly enough. Then it's on to the hunt for lunch. Long lines at soup kitchens, leftovers from the local church, or simply hoping for the mercy of passers-by. Every step on the street carries a risk. Losing belongings, being stolen while sleeping, being accosted by the police, or on the contrary, being completely ignored. Sleep is never restful. Sometimes on a park bench, sometimes on the corner of the sidewalk with cardboard as a mat. In winter, the air can kill silently. And in summer, dehydration strikes without warning. Those who live on the street are not just homeless. They are also losing their sense of security, their privacy, their dignity. Many try to maintain their appearance, still showering at shelters, combing their hair, holding on to the remnants of self-respect. But it's hard when people look at you suspiciously or turn away as if you don't exist. We talk as if the homeless have one face. In fact, there are thousands of faces and thousands of stories. Amidst the traffic and hustle and bustle of the city, their lives go by slowly. Sometimes they don't go by at all. But what hurts the most is not hunger or cold, not the lack of a bed. What hurts the most is when no one sees them, when they are considered non-existent. Philadelphia is not standing still. Amid the growing crisis, efforts are underway to stem the tide of homelessness. Across the city, there are emergency shelters that open their doors to those who have no other options. Each night, hundreds of beds are filled. But each night, many are forced to sleep outside because of limited capacity. Some shelters require people to arrive early, to sign up before the line fills up. Others have strict rules. No luggage, no wake-up calls at 5 in the morning, and no time to leave before the sun is fully up. Some find it helpful, but many feel unsafe. For some, living on the streets, though hard, feels more humane than sleeping crammed into a room full of strangers, with no privacy, no peace. Behind these systems are thousands of social workers and volunteers who continue to fight. They walk the city streets, bringing food, blankets, and conversation. They know the names that others forget. One of the organizations that has become the backbone of the city's social assistance is Project Home. Since 1989, they've been building more than just shelter, they've been building hope. They believe in the principle of housing first, that the basic need for shelter comes first, before talking about jobs, therapy, or rehabilitation. In addition to Project Home, there's Broad Street Ministry, which opens its doors to anyone who needs a shower, lunch, or just a listening ear. But it's not enough. The system works hard, but it faces enormous challenges: limited budgets, slow bureaucracy, and deep-rooted social stigma. Many are denied shelter because they have pets. Others are turned away because of untreated mental health issues. And still others don't meet the chronically homeless criteria, and are therefore not a priority. When help is conditional on criteria and categories, many fall through the cracks of the system. On paper, help is available, but in the real world, not everyone who needs it can access it. And while the waiting process goes on, life on the streets goes on. Without a break, without security, without a home. In the northern corner of Philadelphia, there's a neighborhood called Kensington. There, the homeless crisis meets a darker one, the opioid epidemic. Some call it Ground Zero for America's drug crisis. Its sidewalks are littered with syringes like fallen leaves. In its alleys, bodies hunched over, lost between pain and temporary euphoria. Among them, many have not only lost their homes, but also lost control of their bodies and mind. Opioid addiction often begins in unlikely places. Prescription painkillers, work injuries, or past trauma. But once inside, few can get out without help. And that help rarely comes in a timely manner. The city's mental health system, like so many others, is understaffed, underfunded, and full of waiting lists. Many of the homeless suffer from mental illnesses: schizophrenia, PTSD, bipolar disorder, major depression. But without a permanent address, without insurance, and without identification, they can't access therapy or treatment. As a result, many are left wandering with wounds that never heal. And that's where street drugs offer a brief escape, albeit at a high cost. Drug addiction and mental illness aren't the only causes of homelessness, but they compound the situation, binding people in a cycle that's harder to break. And when someone loses control of their mind, society often backs down. Stigma takes over sympathy. We're quicker to judge than to understand. But let's be honest, none of these people want to live like this. No child dreams of being an addict. No teenager dreams of sleeping on the sidewalk. They're victims of a system that failed to catch them when they fell. In this crisis, what's needed isn't just a tent or a meal. It's access to rehabilitation, psychological support, and most importantly, a chance to heal. Because everyone deserves to heal. And every wound, even the invisible ones, deserves to be treated with love and respect. Amid the darkness of Philadelphia's homeless crisis, there is a light, a small one, but it's not extinguished. Because this city is not just a place where people lose hope. It's also a place where hope begins to build back, slowly. One of the biggest breakthroughs has come from a simple but revolutionary principle: housing first. This approach doesn't wait for someone to recover to be housed. It provides housing first, because housing is the foundation of recovery. Organizations like Project Home, Pathways to Housing PA, and Valley Youth House have proven that when people are housed stably, they are better able to overcome addiction, access treatment, and find work. In neighborhoods like Francis House of Peace, formerly homeless people now live in their own tiny apartment. They have keys, doors, names on the mailboxes, and with that comes dignity. Beyond housing, there are social innovations, like Broad Street Ministry, which isn't just giving out food, it's creating a space where people are called by their names. There, relationships are built. Trust is cultivated. Mobile clinics reach those who can't get to the hospital, bringing doctors, nurses, and counselors to city sidewalk. There are also job training programs, micro-businesses run by formerly homeless people, and transitional community models that emphasize collaboration, not handouts. And perhaps most powerfully are the stories of recovery. Derek, a former opioid user, is now a rehabilitation counselor. Lena, who lived in a tent for 3 years, now owns a small catering business and employs other homeless people. They are proof that recovery is possible. But what they need is not pity. What they need is opportunity. Because behind every tent, there is someone waiting to be lifted up. Behind every dark story, there is the potential for a brighter, new chapter. And in the city that was once the birthplace of freedom, maybe it's time for Philadelphia to once again be the birthplace of hope. Not just for the nation, but for every human being, especially the most forgotten. Along the streets of Philadelphia, from downtown to the hidden corners of Kensington, there are thousands of stories that play out unnoticed. They don't make the headlines, they don't trend, but they are real, and they are part of us. Homelessness is not just about losing a place to live. It is a cracked mirror of our system, a mirror that shows how easily someone can fall and how hard it is to get back up. We might ask, why don't they just get a job? Or, isn't there help? But the more honest question is, how can we live comfortably when so many are sleeping on the sidewalk? Maybe those on the streets aren't just others. They could be us or someone we know, who has had an accident, lost a job, been dumped, or fallen into depression. Because in life, the distance between home and homeless is often just one disaster. So what can we do? We can start by seeing them, not as an annoyance, not as problems to be swept aside, but as human beings with the same wounds, hopes, and rights. We can support policies that support social justice. We can choose to care, even in small ways, by saying hello, by giving our time, or even by simply not judging. Because big changes always have their roots in small acts of courage, the courage to care. In this city, houses stand strong, buildings rise high. But the strength of a city is not measured by the height of its buildings, but by how it treats its most vulnerable. And maybe when we truly understand what home means, we will realize, home is not just a place to live, but a place where someone feels worthy of living.